Hey there, happy Tuesday. It's me, Victor here. Just gonna go over some stocks which I'm watching for the week. Hopefully, you're having a great trading week so far. Again, all these are for educational purpose only. They don't get any of this as advice already. Again, as you all should know, my trading style by now, pretty much just two setups I do over and over again. Opening ranges and I guess really flag patterns on daily charts and EPs. But I do want to point out one thing. Everyone's saying is a gap up is an EP. No. Again, I didn't make up the rules. Just go look up what an episodic pivot is. It became really popular whenever, of course, Christian came on the trading surface on the internet and all that. But just because a stock gaps up does not make it an EP. Okay, there's a lot of criteria that go into it. My definition is here in front of you. Ideally, what I look for is massive volume and a stock that really has been neglected, and you want something like a movie, as I always say, a change in the company's outlook in some sense. So again, everyone's been talking about, like, for instance, Affirm. They had earnings on a gap up. They're saying that's an EP. No, it's really not, because look how far we've came already. We're off the lows, and you really want a stock that's neglected in a sense. If that makes any sense, because we're really up on the highs pretty much from the low of April, and if it gaps up, as you can see, it's already priced in, and it's kind of a reason why it failed in a sense, although they produced positive earnings. Sometimes it's going to be priced in already. I'm trying to think of one that was really an EP was like on ASTS last year, even Root, neglected stock, beaten down stock, as you can see here, beaten down stock, right, beaten down, and you have massive volume come out with good earnings. The EP day here, look at the volume, and look what it did its run. And most of the big EPs will always have more runs in the cycle, which of course this one did. And it just, again, you don't have to overcomplicate everything. Just because a stock gaps up does not make it an EP, okay? Again, look for the stock that's been neglected. Look for really three things: volume, the news, and just focus on the story, And again, most of the time, sometimes they offer delayed reactions, like we've seen this year on AEHR is one as well that gapped up. Again, is an EP? People say it is, but look at the long-term chart. It's not really beaten down to say here it was back in 2021. That is beaten down stock. Look at the volume, okay? But here we're just kind of mid-range. It's kind of forming a cup and handle. So it's one to watch for sure. It's just everyone has their own definition of an EP to say. So don't, again, most of the things I always say, it's AI themed, so AI has been a common theme lately, so always be in consideration of that story. So therefore this is on the watch list. So always just pay attention to, I would say, just the overall themes in the markets, as in EPs, as in story and all that. Okay, for instance, Iron had phenomenal earnings. They reported, okay, and look, again, everyone's saying gap up EP, but look, we've come off the low. Look where we came, okay. If it's gapping up, yes, but most of the time it's kind of going to be like a delayed reaction in a sense, and that's where patience plays. It gapped up, people wanted to go higher, but no, it pulled back, and I waited for the second day, and most of the time delayed reactions are the best. And I got long over the range break. I believe 28 something is my average, but this is gonna be one of those trades. I'm using the 10-day as a trailing stop, of course, and we'll just see what happens on that one. But again, just because the stock gaps up does not mean it's an EP. Just focus on the news. Why is it gapping up? You want fuel. You want a stock that's been neglected, that's been pretty much neglected. Like, for instance, on Root. Root was last year's EP of the year, or century probably. not century, but it was pretty crazy. Beaten down stock. Okay, they reported massive earnings. You know, from the low of $10 to the high of $80. You know, and of course it had numerous runs over the course of its year, but it's just always take into consideration the long-term chart. Alrighty. But yeah, just go over one particular stock and a couple I'm going over real quick. Open. This is 5-star galore. This as well. Look at this. This is what you want to look. Okay. Look at the long-term chart. Always widen the lens. Beaten down stock. Volume. Always ask why. Why is a stock running? Okay, the news on this, which led this to have its first initial run in February, I believe is just pretty much, what is this? It's pretty much momentum with this one. It's pretty much the short interest is extremely high on this particular stock. And again, sometimes momentum's all you really need, okay, in these small cap sector plays. But this is purely momentum, I believe. I don't think there's any news on this. Again, sometimes the best stocks that go the highest make no sense, okay? I see a lot of people online, there's no news, why is it going higher? It doesn't matter, okay? All that matters at the end of the day is price action. That's all that really matters, okay? And, I mean, what is this? Is AI? I'm not even sure what the hell this is, to be honest with you. It's real estate, you know, I don't know. But the point is, okay, just because a stock is up does not mean it can't go any higher. Okay, so this is a 5-star flag pattern, and I am long, ideally anticipating to go over this pivot point. And we've seen this in a lot of plays recently on ZEP. It's pretty much the exact same thing as I mentioned. You know, you have a run up, a pullback, and it's the same deal over and over again. As you can see on these flags, the pattern's right there. You know, it's the same thing, even sideways and going there. Even the recent one right there. Although this is really thin, the pattern's still the same. Even like on OPAD. OPAD was another one that I'm watching that did break out today, but didn't really continue as I would like. Pretty much same deal. You know, you have a big run up, you know, with volume, a couple of days of sideways in the break of range, and we had that range break, but it kind of failed. It ran, but it didn't hold on the next day, and now we're in this little somewhat same type of deal. The same type of deal as we're in here. So it's just a waiting game. Most of this time is just waiting game. That's what trading is finding your setups you are best at and just waiting. Okay, you don't have to trade every day. Get that out of your mind. I sometimes don't trade at all. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Okay, but this is pretty much the exact same pattern we saw on which one I had on my previous video lesson, I'm not sure. But it's a flag pattern. It's a 5-star. Pretty much the same one as ZEP. Even Duo. Duo was one 5-star range break, very liquidity trap potential. But look at the chart again, it's neglected. These have been the common theme lately. Stocks have been getting beaten down, of course. But it's really all, even PGen was the same type of one, delayed reaction. Okay, look at the chart. Volume. And most of the time, as I mentioned, they offer a delayed reaction. You know, you have the initial gap up day, but most of the times they have a couple days of consolidation, and you have that potential range break. Same type of deal you see even here. Okay, but the higher this goes, the less is favorable. Give me 1 second. As I was saying, it's pretty much the exact same thing, but the higher this goes on the daily chart, you know, I always use daily, hourly, but you really want to trail 10-day with this stuff. This is 5-star continuation, as you can see. The higher this goes, the less likely you just sell. You know, I have sell rules, of course, but you get the point. Same type of deal with IMAB. Pretty much the exact same thing. Although this was kind of choppy. Although the chart pattern is there, as you can see, had good momentum. I'm trying to find you examples of what I mean. IPDN is one I'm watching for the rest of the week. This is going to be a potential dead cat bounce type of play. Really over, let's go on the intraday chart here, it's probably better. Really over this $9 area. It ran yesterday off some news, which I believe, what was it? Yeah, I got long. I got sorry for stuttering. I got long. I remember I got long Friday. It was some news. It's a very thin float, so I'm just watching it for sure. 'Cause I think it could do something really special. Most other stocks that make big moves often make more moves down the road, and you have to keep them on price alerts. So over really $10, I'm gonna watch it for sure on that one. But even, let me try to see here. Like for instance, Wolf. This is one I'm watching. This is a good chart pattern, okay? They had amazing earnings, positive growth. This is, I would classify, if my mouse would work, this is an EP. It's neglected. It's beaten down. Why is this like this high up? That's weird. This is beaten down. Look at it. Beaten down. Look at the volume. Highest volume day ever. Okay? Now we're in this ranges. So it's the same thing over and over again. You know, it's building this pretty much flag pattern that you just wait, you know, as it breaks the ranges. And again, sometimes the pattern's gonna work, sometimes it does not. Do not try to be right every time. It's called trading, not called being right or wrong.
Hey,
okay?
Did you know that Mint's Unlimited Premium
Positive expectancy along the way, and many people try to be right all the time. You know, they want to get the higher win rate, and that doesn't really matter. Okay, just focus on setups, and it's gonna take care of itself either way. But Wolf is one I'm watching, over $10, 5-star, and as you can see, it tried to break it long, but it failed. But the fact that it's still basing, and the fact that it's still surfing the 10-day is extremely sign of strength. So this is 5-star. I'm watching for sure. Another one I'm watching, I'm just going through my scan here real quick. That's pretty much, BE was another recent example of a 5-star continuation. This is 5-star galore, another perfect example. Earnings, EP, gap up. Look at this. This is what a stock that has institution, you want something that has a reason to go up. This is a stock that, if you're looking for something, should look like this. Look how, let's just go on the hourly, it's probably better, it shows it better. But just look how orderly it is, you know? It's not random, it's surfing the days. So that is that one. But I'm just gonna keep this short. I'm just watching open, really open and Wolf. Top ones, iron I'm long. Ideally it's 50-50 because as I mentioned, it has pretty much gone quite a bit ways off the lows. But that's not to say that I can't go higher. So we'll see. I have a good entry point, so we're just pretty much using this previous pivot point as my stop, or 10-day. Really, we'll see what happens. But ideally over 30, that'd be ideal. But the main one I'm watching is open for the rest of the week. Again, it's all about odds. It could happen, it could not, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this break above 6, and if it does, who knows how high this can go. The short interest is very high. Again, story, everyone's talking about it, so who knows. Other than that, Wolf over the ranges, which I mentioned. But yeah, other than that, just those two. Again, keep it really simple, okay? You don't have to trade every day. Just focus on you. Alrighty. But other than that, I'll see you next time.